Hello, and welcome to the audiobook, B4success, The Revolution Within by Sudhir KV. This is the chapter 3 of the real inner revolution. We as humans are social beings. We can't live all alone for longer duration. We connect with people. We connect with our surroundings. That's where we wonder for affection, care, and company. It's our own personality that makes friends or enemies from the surroundings in which we live. All that is the outcome of how do we deal with the mischievous behavioral loop.
Hey, welcome again. I hope you have enjoyed the great learnings from Chapter 1 and 2. Here we go with the Chapter 3, the behavioral loop. Jugglings of life may present unexpected things before us. At times, we received something good when it wasn't expected at all. Then there are times when we received something exceptionally bad in place of the expected charm. When we achieve something commendable and get pat on back, we feel delighted and take pride out of it. But when we fail, we immediately try to offload the burden of failure on unfavorable circumstances, people, or even on ill luck. It indicates when we receive something positive, we reflect pleasure, but when something awful happens to us, we reflect pain. There is a deep secret hidden inside this usual human nature. It's a mischievous deadlock, extremely deleterious. Revealing truth is, this deadlock is the trigger for demolition of all the happiness and success that we have and that we desire. What we get is what we reflect, and what we reflect is what we get. When we get positive behavior, we reflect the positive. When we reflect positive, we get positive in return, and we enter the fragile loop of positivity. Fragile because positivity is vulnerable. On the contrary, when we get negative behavior, we reflect negative. When we reflect negative, we get negative. When we get negative, we reflect negative, and we get stuck in the tough loop of negativity. Tough because it's perpetual and strong. It is the deadlock. Can we get stuck in the loop of positivity for forever? Think carefully. If we express a positive behavior, then it is possible, but not necessary, that other person will also behave in positive manner. Other person may be heavily influenced by some deep negative emotions erupted by his, her own paradigm, and may return a crude behavior that may feel insulting. We reflect what we get. Hence we reciprocate that insult, and the loop of positivity gets broken. How delicate, isn't it? Can we get stuck in the loop of negativity for forever? If we express negative behavior, we get negative. When we get negative, we express negative behavior again, and it goes on endlessly. Even if one of the two parties initiate with positive behavior, chances are high that sooner or later, one of them will get influenced by some internal negative emotional spike, and will introduce negativity again in the loop. In any case, it's tough to break the negative loop of behavior. Very tough if you realize positivity is fragile and difficult to retain. Negativity is tough and easy to sustain. The positive feelings and their experiences are soft like feather. They gently brush through brain and create good lightweight memories. On the contrary, negative feelings and their experiences are tough stains. They drill into brain and get embossed like permanent tattoos. Over a period, good light memories fade away, but the negative experiences remain intact in the form of strong neurological synaptic connections in the brain. Something that is so capable of sustaining itself inside the brain is also capable of controlling on what brain does. That is the reason negative thoughts have more power to dominate and control our brain and behavior. That is the reason most people have got the negative intrinsic personal tendency dominant in their default nature. Question is, if we get stuck into the behavioral loop for any reason, then can we still achieve the success we want to achieve in this very lifetime? Obviously, no, until we remain locked in the loop. We must break the loop and come out of it as early as possible. But be it positive or negative, the loop is loop. It's so continuous that we find no time to interrupt in between. Practically, No person can live throughout the life in any of the two loops. There must be a third circle in between which can enable the shifting of emotions, behavior, or attitude of a person from positive cycle to negative one, and from negative cycle to positive one. When we are too much worried, we revolve emotionally in the negative cycle for a longer period. On the other side, when somehow we feel assured for longer hours of joy, then we revolve in the loop of positive cycle. But why one can't stay in the positive loop forever? Why it switches to the negative loop? Does this switch happen by choice or just by chance? Psychological studies about brain's behavior has raveled some surprising facts. Dr. Paul Rozin and Edward Roisman showed in their research that the negative perspective is more contagious than the positive perspective. A study by John Cacioppo and his colleagues showed that our attitudes are more heavily influenced by bad news than good news. Other researchers analyzed language to study negativity bias. For example, there are more negative emotional words, 62%, than positive words, 32%, in the English dictionary. In our brains, there are two different systems for negative and positive stimuli. The amygdala uses approximately 2/3 of its neurons to detect negative experiences. And once the brain starts looking for bad news, it is stored into long-term memory quickly. Positive experiences have to be held in our awareness for more than 12 seconds in order to get transferred from short-term to long-term memory. The brain quickly glues with negative experiences, but repels the positive ones. Negative experiences easily get attached to brain. They become permanent in memory and hugely affect our intrinsic personal tendency. Positive experiences easily slip from the brain and rarely leave behind a permanent mark. That is why it takes a lot of effort to create and develop a strong positive attitude, which is a bare minimum ingredient required to cook the dish of most desired success. Question is, if brain is just the storehouse of memories, then who is the creator of those memories? There is some invisible entity that exists around the brain to ignite memory cells. This invisible entity works as psychological engine for brain and body. Definitely, that entity is not created by any supernatural power. Otherwise, like the biological brain, that entity also must have universal structure and function for all human. We call it the mind. People are different because of their different minds. It is the mind of an individual that develops the perspective to deduce meaning of feelings, emotions, and expressions. It is the mind that affirms rituals and convictions. It is the mind that develops the taste of good or bad. Mind has no biology, no chemistry, no physical geometry, but it has the most powerful privilege to continuously develop, destroy, and redevelop the psychology of brain and body. What happens in our mind space defines what's going to happen in our life space. Precisely, the quality of our mind space creates the quality of life that we live. So, now we have reached to the critical milestone of this journey of inner revolution. Yes, we are now going to explore the mind space. Stay tuned and get ready to explore the most auspicious yet invisible entity of your own existence.